So, hello. This video is going to be mainly dedicated to um, giving reasoning as to why the intelligence system, very powerful intelligence system that exists in modern day Israel, has failed in predicting or has failed in predicting the attack conducted by Hamas, which then also extends to um, the the involvement of Hezbollah as well. But before getting to that, I believe it's important to give some context to what's going, not context, more like what's going on in the war right now between Israel and Palestine. So, I don't believe that it's as simple on a map as it is when we're looking at the war between Russia and Ukraine, where you can very easily tell where the front lines are, where the Ukrainians are, where the Russians are. But in this war, in this area, it's a bit more difficult to understand. And I believe that because uh, the way that they conducted this operation, you could call it Hamas, how they conducted it is that they sent paragliders everywhere in the neighboring towns, villages around the Gaza Strip, and as well as the military bases of Israeli military bases. And um, so there's a lot of just paraglider, well, now soldiers fighting in different settlements, and there's also many soldiers coming straight out of the Gaza Strip, attacking these surrounding areas. And not only that, they've also been bombing and sending lots of missile strikes to a lot of different Israeli settlements, and obviously, uh, the Israelis have been doing the same. In the beginning, they were caught off guard. Many of their soldiers were not prepared, which is how the Palestinians, or it's better to say Hamas, were able to overrun all of these military bases because all of the Israeli soldiers who were stationed there did not know about this. Um, and I would just like to point out that both this is a very bloody war, very bloody because Palestinians and the Israelis really hate each other like a lot, and the both sides are doing war crimes. There's already many videos of these. To my understanding, there's always been many war crimes done in between both both Palestine and Israel. I'm being very careful in how I say all of this because this is my first video and I do not want say anything that would make anyone angered. But yeah, that's kind of the situation. And also, I should talk about how there's not only fighting going on in the Gaza Strip with missile strikes in the surrounding cities. Well, in Gaza, Tel Aviv, and the surrounding towns of the Gaza Strip, but how there's also some missile strikes happening on the border with Lebanon. Now, Hezbollah and Hamas are, to my understanding, a very similar group of people, where one is Shia, that being Hezbollah, if I'm not mistaken, Hamas being Sunni. But they do have the same. They have the same ideology, excluding the difference in Islam. But Hamas is the popular group in specifically the Gaza Strip, and Hezbollah being the de facto people who run Lebanon right now. And with them being that close, the Hezbollah has they've said that they're at this point, if I'm not mistaken, they're at full combat readiness, and there's already been some missile strikes from the Israeli side, on some posts on the border. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also many missile strikes from Hezbollah to Israeli territory. I might be wrong about that because I do not remember right now. Uh, and yes, there's also fighting in the West Bank, but not as much as there is in and around Gaza. Well, not in, around Gaza. And there's also been the statement from Israel saying that they've already, if I'm not mistaken, this was yesterday. Today is 10th of October. If I'm not mistaken, yesterday there was a statement saying how they've already cleared all of occupied Israel, as in every anything that doesn't include the Gaza Strip, around the Gaza Strip, and that they're preparing to attack, like full bulldoze through the entire area. Now, I do believe that that's what they want to do because they said it themselves that they want to their whole goal is to get rid of the Gaza, just get rid of Gaza. This has been said by Israel. They've already are doing a complete blockade of everything to the Gaza Strip. Now, uh, obviously, that isn't good, and I do want to say that that is a war crime. I mean, the I'm saying again, there's been war crimes on both sides, but this specifically is also a war crime. Now, going back to the topic at hand, how did the Israeli intelligence system not see this coming? Because we all know that the Israeli intelligence system is like one of the most advanced intelligence systems in the world. They have their people in Hamas, definitely people in Iran, people everywhere in their enemies with inside like people on the inside. So how did they not see this coming? Now there are multiple lines of thinking around this topic, and I should also give some more context before I get into that too, talking about what was going on before the war. So there were talks between Israel, the U.S., and Saudi Arabia. Now, these talks are actually important because the the main uh, topic with in these talks was the recognition of Israel from Saudi Arabia. Now, the main thing that Saudi Arabia would get out of these talks was they say um, nuclear. Uh, I want to say nuclear. Excuse me. Let me just. Well, basically, they were gonna get nukes out of this. They said that they were gonna give them nu like intelligence about domestic nuclear uh, energy, basically like just how to make a nuclear reactor, but like as in for domestic use. But let's be honest, if you have the capabilities and you have the science behind how a nuclear reactor works, that is a giant step into getting nukes. So basically, the US would be giving Saudi Arabia the information to help them to get nukes. Now, um, the before this also there was like a rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia brokered by China, and what followed that was um, both of them joining like not that both of them applying to join the BRICS. The in January on January 1st they're gonna, to my understanding right now, they're like observer states of BRICS, and then they're gonna fully join along with the other countries that have joined, that being Egypt, if I'm not mistaken, Argentina, the UAE, and I think also Ethiopia. Uh, and they're gonna join on January 1st, 2024. So it's possible that okay, so the Hezbollah group obviously have ties to Iran, and also ties to Hamas. Obviously, it's all tied together. So one line of thinking is that just the um, Iranians were scared of these talks and wanted to de-escalate what was going on. They did not want Saudi Arabia getting nukes, even though they de facto weren't gonna be enemies from that point forward. So what they did was that maybe they just gave the green light to Hamas to allow them to do such a big operation. Now, this is a very Western way to look at things because everyone in the West really is trying to blame Iran entirely for this entire thing. Now, maybe they did uh, probably they had to have given the green light for this, but if they actually planned it, that's a different question. But this is a possibility. Now, uh, on the other side of things, you could say that for to explain the actual intelligence failure um, in Israel, in the Israeli intelligence system. Most people obviously think that this was on purpose, that the Israelis knew that this was happening and they didn't say anything about it. Now, uh, the reason that they would let such a disaster to happen is possibly because Israel and to as an extension of the U.S. want uh, this are basically letting Iran do this, as in not letting Saudi Arabia get nukes. Now, I'm not saying that they're trying to like act like they're trying to make like diplomatic efforts and then go behind it. No, in this case, it's more of a like so Iran wants to like uh, make the relations between themselves and Saudi Arabia worse. Okay, we'll let them. That's a very interesting line of thinking. Basically, just the Israelis are like, okay, this is happening, this is happening. Iran said we don't want you to get any type of nuclear, uh, I don't know how to put it, intelligence, maybe nuclear intelligence. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna derail the talks by, and also the reason this would derail talks with Israel is because Saudi Arabia is supporting Palestine in this conflict. Since the first, I think, since the first or second day, they already made a statement saying how they're supporting the Palestinians in this conflict. Although, uh, oh no, there's no although I lied. So, yeah, they didn't want them. They didn't want Saudi Arabia to get nukes. Israel understood this. They said this will. They're like, oh, this will derail, um, BRICS because then it'll test the newly formed. Well, I would like to put it newly uh, reformed relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And so they're like, let this happen. U.S. is like, yeah, let this happen. They let it happen. It's also very much possible that there was just a man on the inside in the Israeli intelligence service, which is another idea. Although, if this is the case, then that means that soon the Israeli intelligence system is gonna have to, like, the Israelis are very smart people. I like to point out they're very smart, and they know that they're gonna have to, like, look through the intelligence system, say, okay, this is wrong. Maybe we should be more careful, or just straight up find this guy. Probably, maybe kill him. I don't know. Maybe put him in a prison. Killing is a bit too extreme, but if they want to set an example to Hamas, who they themselves said that they aren't willing to have talks with, um, they might just kill him. Who knows? Um, and in extension to the second point I made, um, this could have been the final straw for Israel to allow this to happen, give themselves a reason to fight back, and their end goal. They've already stated that their end goal is the complete. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, the Israelis made a statement. Netanyahu, if I'm not mistaken, he said that the their goal now is the complete just annihilation of the Gaza Strip, and it is possible that is literally what they've wanted from the beginning. From the well, obviously they've wanted this from the beginning, but um, as in this is the reason why they allowed the Hamas group to attack Israel and catch them this much off guard, to give them a reason, to give them a reason to say, look at all this horrible stuff that's going on. We're against it. We don't see them as okay. Again, I have to be very careful what I say because I this is a very sensitive topic. But the Israel does want the the Gaza to just not be an issue. They because they see it they want it to be their own territory. If they see it as their own territory, and uh, their end goal obviously is to completely get rid of Hamas. Maybe they still are fine with Palestine existing, but with a much less proactive group of people that advocate for uh, no like talks. If I'm not mistaken, the reason that the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are on the side of Hamas or have basically allowed them to control the Gaza Strip is because they wouldn't back down. They would always fight until the very end, and they see talks with Israel as capitulation, which is what they're entirely against of. And Israel is also not will. They've said themselves they're not willing to have talks about this conflict. They're not gonna do it diplomatically. The Russia and China, they said, well, of course, they're gonna have to say that. Oh, we don't want war from any side. We want talks to happen, but neither side is willing to have talks. Um, well, at least Israel is not gonna want to have talks, diplomatic talks about to just stop this conflict. And yeah, that's kind of it. So these are just some ideas about why the Israeli intelligence system didn't work in this case, either because they wanted it to happen, because they didn't want um, BRICS to be such amazing as amazing as it seems, and they want to derail the new members of BRICS by testing the newly remedied relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia, as well as a reason to finally put an end to the issue that is Palestine, as well as maybe with all of this, there's also Iran, who did not want Saudi Arabia to get nukes, even though the reason this one point is it's a bit, I don't really, I agree with it's possible, but it doesn't really explain the failure of intelligence in Israel because, I mean, the only way it'd be possible if this also happened in relation to the other two, where Iran didn't want um, Saudi Arabia getting this information. That's the video. Hope you got something out of that. Don't forget to condemn war crimes, that be it in Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, Russia, uh, I don't know, Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, whatever, same thing. Uh, and yeah, bye bye.